Would you like to improve your Facebook ad targeting for realtors? If so, this is the video you're going to want to check out. When Facebook released the special ad category for housing, it limited a lot of targeting options, and people have had tons of questions about that since they've made those changes. So today's video is going to be all about how to narrow in and get real specific on your ideal client. Take a look. Hey everyone, Kevin Smullin with 2Q Lead Generation Strategies. If you're brand new to our channel, welcome. We're so glad you're here. What we're all about is helping real estate agents just like you generate more leads, set more appointments, and close more transactions. So if you're after more leads, appointments, and transactions, this is absolutely the best place to be. Please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you here as part of our community. Before we get going on today's video, one quick note down below. If you look in the description, you'll see a link to our 2-hour Facebook Masters class. It is a 2-hour free training where I show you our best practices, principles, and the things that we're doing to help our clients get great results on Facebook. So 2 hours of free education. Take a look. It's well worth your time. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Facebook ad targeting. Like I said in the intro, when Facebook made changes to their platform because of the anti-discriminatory lawsuits that they were facing, they instituted this Facebook special ad category for housing. And when they did that, a lot of the targeting options that people used to use went away, and a lot of people were wondering, they were left wondering how they were going to be able to target the best prospects, the best leads, how to get the right people with the ads that they were running. So in today's video, that's what I'm going to show you is a complete detailed breakdown of the Facebook audience section of the ads manager, because that's where all the targeting magic happens. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen and we will jump right in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on create as if I was creating a brand new ad. I'm just going to select engagement for the purposes of this training. And you'll notice on the first section when we're setting what the objective is in the campaign, there is this special ad category section. If you do not select housing right here and you're running a real estate ad, your ad will get rejected every single time. It's the most common reason why Facebook ads get rejected is because you are not selecting special ad category. However, the moment you do this, where you select the housing for the special ad category, there's a lot of targeting options that end up going away. And so we'll go through and talk about that. Now on the next section with the ad set, this is where the targeting options show up. So I'm going to skip everything else since the focal point of today's training is all about selecting the correct audience. Now, the way that we end up doing this, targeting the correct audience, has a lot to do with what it is that you intend on doing. So different objectives as far as who you want to target will depend on who it is that or how we go about doing this. So for all intents and purposes, there's two major options as far as how we go about targeting the correct people. One is using this feature right here called custom audiences. And the other one is using the locations, the targeting options here that Facebook gives you inside their ad platform. So either you're going to use the Facebook targeting options or you're going to be using the custom audiences. In some cases, you'll use a hybrid of the two, but in most cases, it's going to be one or the other. The question that everyone always says is, how do I know when to use a custom audience and when do I use the Facebook ad targeting? The answer to that question depends on what it is that you want to accomplish. So custom audiences, what custom audiences are for, are to help you target people to a large extent based on actions that they've taken previously, whether those people have been to your website, whether they have engaged with your Facebook page, watched a video, filled out a lead form, any number of different things. So there's a term that's used a lot called retargeting or remarketing, where you're showing ads to people based on actions that they've taken previously. And the way that we do that is through custom audiences. So you'll notice if I click on create a new custom audience, there's options of targeting people based on websites they've been to, based on uploading a list of contacts, based on them watching a video, Instagram engagement, filling out a lead form, Facebook page engagement, or going to, or clicking on that they were interested in an event. Those are the ones that you as real estate agents would probably use the most frequently. So if you're wanting to target people, say, that have been to your website, they've been to your website, been searching for properties, and you want to target them and run an ad, well, then obviously this is going to be the best option, right? If you're saying, well, I want to target people who have watched a video that I did previously, then that's going to be the option. So to a large extent, if you're going to be retargeting people, then custom audiences are what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be running an ad to a new audience of people that don't know who you are yet, then 99% of the time you're probably going to be using the Facebook ad targeting, which is this section down. So that's the first thing that you want to be thinking about as you're targeting people is, who do I want to target? Now, you've got to be thinking about who the best possible eyeballs are for the ad that you're going to be running. Because the answer to that question, to a large extent, is going to define how you're going to set this up. Again, the question is, what are the best possible eyeballs for the ad that I'm running? How do I get in front of those people? And that's the question that we use in setting this up. So again, custom audiences, once you have set those up, you're just simply going to click here. You'll have a list of all of these different custom audiences that you've set up, and you can pick one or more of them. And really, retargeting is really that simple from a targeting standpoint. Now, I love custom audiences because the thought process is, if someone's been to a website, watched a video, clicked on something, filled out a lead form, to a large extent, those people are going to be more interested than the average person. And so as much as you can, I love running or using custom audiences to get in front of the people that already know who I am. Custom audiences are not super helpful for like a lead generation ad where you're trying to generate leads from a new audience of people. In most cases, you're going to be using the Facebook targeting for that. The one exception is, let's say you had uploaded a list of clients that your past clients, and you're like, hey, I want more people just like this. Then the one custom audience that you can use for that, it's a special ad audience where it's going to be a lookalike audience based on your customer list that you had uploaded. So if you had your SOI list, you could create a lookalike audience based on that. And what that means is Facebook is going to analyze all the data points of the people inside that list that we uploaded. It's going to look for trends and patterns, and then it's going to create what's called a lookalike audience of people who most closely have those same traits in common. So like, let's say you did a lot of work with first-time buyers. Well, if you uploaded a list of first-time buyers, of people that you've worked with, it's going to analyze all those data points. It's going to notice that they have similar ages and similar income levels and lots of things similar. So when we create the lookalike audience, it's going to be people just like that. Now, a lookalike audience for a lead generation category or campaign like that, where it's very focused and very specific, that would be a very good targeting option. But that's basically what you would use the lookalike audience for. Now, I've talked a lot about custom audiences. I've really kind of hit the high points of that and when you would use that the most. So let's move on down through the rest of the targeting. In the locations section, anytime you're doing locations, the first thing that you want to focus on is this. It gives you 4 different options here: people living in or recently in this location, people living in this location, people recently in this location, and people traveling in this location. Now, I would suspect if most of you are doing your traditional retail real estate where you're marketing to potential buyers and sellers, this option right here, people living in this location, is the one that you are going to use the majority of the time. Now, what's different about this compared to people living in or recently in this location is if you selected this option, which it selects by default, it's going to include people who were here recently, they were traveling or visiting family. And in most cases, those people are not the eyeballs that you want for a real estate ad. So in most cases, even though this is the one that it defaults to, it's not the one that you want. In the majority of cases, you're going to be using this one, people living in this location. Now, these other options, people recently in this location or people traveling in this location, these two can be valuable in specific situations. So let me give you an example. I just recently started working with a client who does vacation properties. And so his most valuable eyeballs for his ad are going to be people who recently were there. They've vacationed in that area, but they don't live there. And now they want to purchase a vacation property in this area where they just visited. So for that kind of a niche ad, we would use these kinds of targeting options. People whose most recent location was this area, or people who have been here but they live at least 125 miles away. So there's pros and cons to both. You kind of want to play and test those out a little, play with them, test them out a little bit. But those would be cases where you would want to select those options. But like I said, in most cases, the one you really want is this one, people living in this location. With the targeting, what's going to happen is it's going to default to United States. Now, in most cases, what you're going to want is you're going to want to target people that are in certain areas. Now, you used to be able to target people in specific zip codes or addresses or neighborhoods or a 1 mile radius. And with all the anti-discriminatory stuff that created this special ad category, that all went away. So you'll notice if I punch in a city like Denver, Colorado, that it defaults to a 15-mile radius around that. Now I can increase it, I can go higher, but 15 is the minimum. For whatever reason, they have determined that 15 miles is non-discriminatory. So the same thing will happen if you put in an address or a zip code. It's still going to default to 15 miles. The other option is you can target based on counties. So for example, the county I live in, Cache County. So if I do that, you'll notice that it's now targeting the entire county, which Facebook also deems that as non-discriminatory. So those would be kind of some of the options as far as geography goes. You can do entire states if you want to. So there's an example of that where you're targeting everybody in the entire state. You can do multiple states. You can do multiple things. If you were like, well, that's not really the area I want to focus on. I want to really get around this area. So you can use this drop a pin feature and it'll create a longitude latitude that it does 15-mile radius around. So if you want to zero in on a specific area, the drop pin might be a good option for you. So those are kind of your options as far as the geography goes. You'll notice with age, since I'm doing a special ad category, that's unavailable. I cannot change the age. I cannot change the gender. I can change languages. So some of my clients do ads in Spanish or other languages, and that's a great option because it allows you to get very specific about the people that you're trying to market to. So that is a good option for languages if that's the kind of marketing that you're doing. For detailed targeting, this is where the majority of people are struggling if they're trying to target people, is because a lot of the options we used to use, those went away with the special ad category. So what you've got to think about is if you're looking for potential buyers, right? I'm going to walk you through 4 of the most common scenarios. So if you're trying to generate potential buyers, a lot of times what you're looking for are places where you know home buyers are potentially going. So they would be interested in things like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Homes.com, right? All of these different places where they could go to search for websites, those would probably be things that you could use for targeting. So for targeting buyers, this is the kind of thing that you would use. If you wanted to target sellers, then you're going to be targeting options where you are pretty sure those people own a home. So I often use things like home renovation, home improvement, home repair. There's another one called interior design that I often use, because the people who are interested in these kinds of things, the vast majority of those people, you know that they're a homeowner. And so because you know that they're a homeowner, targeting people for a seller campaign like that is going to be a great option. Let's say you're doing some targeting for like a first-time buyer, you're running that kind of a campaign. Then there are categories for first-time buyer. You saw that other one for first-time home buyer grant. A lot of times they're interested in things like townhouses or condos. Those kinds of things you can use. There's also this one called pre-qualification lending that you can use for targeting, that I've had some pretty decent results with. Now, let's say you're going the other end of the spectrum. You're targeting, let's say you're targeting empty nesters for, kind of a downsizing campaign. A lot of times the things that they're interested in are things like the news. So you can use, news type things to target people. Sometimes the local news, CNN, et cetera, et cetera. The other things that you can use for targeting would be, they're interested in things like healthcare. They're interested in things pertaining to retirement. Any of those kinds of options are going to be a pretty good idea to help you get in front of the ideal category for downsizing. So again, you just have to think about it differently. Since a lot of the things we used to use aren't there, it just becomes a question of what else are those people interested in, so that I can use that to target the best eyeballs possible. And so those would kind of be some of the best options that I would give you for targeting and getting in front of the best people possible. Now, because I've put in so many different categories, Facebook is having a hard time identifying the size of the audience. So let me just get rid of some of these and try and make it easier for Facebook so that it's not confused. And maybe I'm just targeting a very specific area that doesn't have a lot of population. I don't know. So we'll go back to targeting an entire state. Okay, perfect. So now with the special interests and the geography, you'll notice there's this number over here where Facebook is estimating what the reach is for, or how many people fit that category. So one of the questions I'm often asked is, well, what should that number be? And the answer is, my perspective, you'll hear lots of different opinions on it. Mine is, to a large extent, it doesn't really matter. The reason why I say that is it's not about a magic number that produces results. It's more about the correct eyeballs. So whether the audience is 15,000 or whether it's 500,000, it's not really about the number itself. It's more about who those people are and who they represent. Because the more focused you can get about being in front of the correct person, that's going to give you better results regardless of what that number is. Now, all things being equal, sure, we do need a large enough number that we can market to. So if you're in a small population area, like the area where I live in, it's a fairly small populated county, you may have to do some tweaking and some changing of things to get a large enough audience that you're getting the type of leads and the type of results that you're looking for. So again, I know that's kind of a difficult thing to understand because most people just say, Kevin, give me a number. But in all honesty, that's not the best way to get results, right? If you're looking to get results, it's less about the number and more about who those people are and who they represent. So hopefully this kind of training gives you a little bit of perspective and a little bit of an idea of how we're still going about targeting the correct people and getting great results for our clients. So that is what I would teach anybody about Facebook ad targeting with the special ad category to get in front of the right people. So hopefully that was helpful. If so, click the thumbs up button down below. We appreciate your support. Also, if you haven't considered subscribing to our channel, please do so. We put out helpful videos like this every single week. So click that subscribe button, the little bell notification, and you'll be notified every time we put out brand new content. Also, I'll put up a couple of links to videos right here where you can watch more tips and tricks, things to grow your business. Also, if you're curious about the services and the things that we can provide, how we can help you grow your business, I've put a link down in the description below about our services where you can learn more, so please feel free to do that. Other than that, make it a great week. Keep crushing it in your real estate business. If we can help, let us know. We'd love to do that. Otherwise, we will talk to you soon and see you on the next video. Take care.